I don't know really where I was. My phone is blowing up right now. What is his name? Denzel Washington's kid. He's so good. Hey, howdy, hey everyone. So as you might be able to tell, I'm in a new space. I moved into my apartment, which is why I have been MIA for the last couple of weeks. I will probably do an apartment tour next week, so keep your eye out for that one. But yeah, so I'm trying out a new setup. The lighting is really bright. If this looks terrible, please let me know. But anyway, so I wanted to come back today and do my first video back with some, like a review and reaction. So let's get started. So last night I actually went to the movie theater. Yes, I did. I wanted to see what their precautions were like and what that experience is now in this time of COVID. And I also went and saw Tenet. It was an early access screening. It's the Christopher Nolan film, kind of sci-fi. It is, I have a lot of thoughts about it. But first, let's talk about what my experience was like going to the movie theaters. So our theaters here just opened on Friday, and I went to the movies on Monday. So they had opening weekend to kind of get those kinks out. And also, historically, Mondays were a pretty slow night at the theater. So I really wanted to try to get, number one, it's Monday and Tuesday is my weekend, so I wanted to go on my weekend and also wanted to see Tenet. It was an early access showing. It doesn't come out officially, I guess you could say, until Friday. So gave it a try. So I went to a Luxe Cinema. We also have a Cinemark here that opened as well. From what I could tell, the precautions that they were taking were very similar across the two, but I will probably also try the Cinemark also on a slow night to see what their precautions are in comparison. But the Luxe is, I was in a theater that has the reclining seats, which automatically are reserved anyway. And so what we did, you could pay in person, you could show up and pay. However, they are doing card only. If you have cash, you have to go to a kiosk and trade your cash for a Luxe gift card, basically, that does not give change back. Which I originally had intended to go with cash, but did not want to run the risk of putting too much cash down and not using it. So I did end up actually reserving my seat ahead of time online and paid with card. And they emailed me my ticket confirmation that came with a barcode. And so the online reservation system was really simple. It's set up exactly as it always has been, except now when you reserve your seats, there's going to be 2 seats in between you and the next party. And then of course the aisles themselves are already 6 feet apart, so they were less worried about separating rows and more separating this way. So there were 2 seats open in between me and the person beside me, and it was at least 6 feet. Masks were worn in the building as well. So I got my ticket and when I went into the theater, the lobby itself was pretty empty. There were two security management people that were checking your tickets and I guess just keeping an eye on all of the like refill stations, like the drink station and the popcorn butter station, things like that that normally would have been open but of course are no longer available. And they had the 6 feet markers on the floor, and I went up to the front counter. There was a couple in front of me, so I stayed over 6 feet behind them because it was really just us, the two managerial security type people and one person behind the counter. Let them leave, and then I got like a water and a candy, and then scanned the barcode from my confirmation email that I had sent, and he printed out my ticket, gave me the candy, and I went in. They of course tore the ticket, but he was wearing gloves and a mask as well, because you can't quite separate the 6 feet when you're handing something to someone. But he was gloved up and wearing multiple levels of protective gear, and also was very friendly. And pointed me into the theater that I was going into, which was the first one right beside where he was standing. And so when I went into the theater, I went to my assigned recliner and kind of waited and, you know, checked out what everyone else was gonna be. The rows behind me were full. There was a party of like 3 or 4, another party of 2. On my row there was just one person, 2 seats down. And then of course we are all separated the 6 feet apart this way. So I felt very separated from everyone around me, even though we were next to each other technically in the system, which was really cool. When the movie theater darkened and everyone settled, so there was no more moving around the theater in any way, that was when I then proceeded to sneak my mask off to enjoy my bottled water and candy. I've been in much closer proximity with people through work and everything, and so I felt very isolated, as isolated as I could have been in that position. And so I really enjoyed and realized that they were doing as much as they could to protect us here, and so I felt as safe as I probably could have, unless it was just me in the theater or like me and then one person like way far down. My camera might die, so if that happens I will just pick up somewhere. Anyway, okay, and we're back. So overall, I felt as safe as I could have in the situation. If you feel comfortable and are willing to go out in public, I think that they are doing as much as they can. Why are all my batteries dead? Hello, I'm back from a not so brief, but brief for you, break to charge my camera battery. Yay! So I did want to come in and actually give like a short response to the film itself. I am not a film critic. I like to watch film analysis, but that is not my expertise, so I'm just gonna give my overall kind of opinion about it. So the film itself, I would say, was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. I spent most of the time a little confused, much as I did when I watched Inception for the first time. So it was definitely like engaging my critical thinking the entire time. The performances were absolutely amazing. Everyone on the team, number one, is a very skilled, talented cast, and they really got to play a bit in this film in ways that I haven't seen from them before, specifically like John David Washington, who was stellar, again, just like he was in BlacKkKlansman, and Robert Pattinson, who every time walked on stage, or on screen, I mean, I just was reminded of how good he is and how much I love him as an actor. Robert Pattinson, I think, is gonna save the world with his acting resurgence, and that is my opinion. The fight scenes, I think, were really cool. There wasn't, I've seen online a lot of complaints about the sound mixing and the music being too overwhelming on top of dialogue, things like that. I noticed that sometimes, but really I just thought it was me because I do have problems hearing dialogue without subtitles in films. But one thing that I did notice and comment on afterward was the fight scenes not having the exaggerated, like, I'm gonna say meat sounds, and if you think about it, I know that you'll know what I mean. There wasn't exaggerated fighting sounds, it was the sounds of like a real fight, which I really liked because it was different from what a lot of action films are like. The plot was very intriguing, even though I spent up until the last like 2 minutes of the film wondering what on earth I was watching. I will definitely enjoy watching it a second time because I will actually probably understand a lot more. I have seen people online commenting about plot holes and things like that, and I will leave you to go read some very good analysis from much smarter film people than me about that. When pointed out, it is pretty plain plot holes, but as I was watching it, I did not really notice them. That part of it is definitely a deeper thinking part of watching the film. But overall, I think the film was really good. I'm really excited to go watch it a second time and aware of how it ends and ready to watch the film start to end, understanding exactly what it is I'm watching, because I'm sure I'll pick up on things that I didn't pick up on. But yeah, if I were to give Tenet a score out of 10, because a lot of films are out of 10, I would give it as a absolutely no science to this score of like a 7.5 to an 8, because it was a really good film, but I did spend the majority of it confused. But I enjoyed it very much so, especially just watching the performances. I think that these actors and actresses really stepped up their game in this film, and it's worth the watch, and I hope that you go watch it or wait till it is available, depending on if you are going to see it in theaters and experience the new theater experience, or wait until it is streamable, rentable, etc. I hope that you do watch it because I enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people will find a lot of enjoyable aspects to the film. And on that note, I will say goodbye and see you guys next time. So, bye!